Okay, this past weekend, Tyson Fury fought Derek Chisora for the third time in the trilogy fight that we all wanted. And Fury, in the end, got the TKO after just Chisora took about 100 shots, it felt like, every single minute of the round. And eventually, the referee called off the fight in the 10th round. No, it was the 9th. No, it was the 10th round. The 10th round of the fight. 4 rounds, way too many. It should have been stopped, to me, probably about the 6th, 5th round, to be honest. It was getting really bad. Chisora really wasn't responding well at all to the shots. Fury was just hitting him with... None of Fury's shots were the type of shots that put you out, which was what was concerning. I'd rather he put out cold than for him to get hit continuously with concussive shots. So, and because Fury, whilst he's a decent puncher, he isn't somebody who you really look at and think... He's not Deontay Wilder or even an Anthony Joshua, for that matter, of somebody who hits hard and who can KO you with one punch just like that. It kind of takes him a while, like an accumulative attack, until he eventually gets that one shot. But if we look at the actual tally, so apparently Fury outlanded Derek Chisora 636 to 255 in 3 fights. And he also outlanded him in 30 at the 33 round. So that shows you why this fight never should have been made. And, you know, if you look at the fight as a whole, in terms of the total punches, Fury landed 9 in the first, 22 in the second, landed 26 in the third, 16 in the fourth. There was a point, I'll say, before I go on, where Fury it felt like he took his foot off the gas, because he didn't really want to hurt him that bad, which is what was really sort of made it even more embarrassing. This is a stadium fight. It really wasn't at all. Well, some fights are warranted in stadium fights. I think Klitschko and Joshua was warranted. I think Fury and Dillian Whyte even was warranted. But these type of fights are just not really what you want to see in these type of fights. And ultimately, you know, this fight was a mismatch from the start. And this is why the matchmakers, people who look at these fights, the governing bodies, they really need to look at them, because Fury, this is a cherry pick from Fury, plain and simple. I'm not saying that he was afraid to fight other guys, I don't think he was, but he did this fight, I think, just because he wanted to give his friend a payday. That is all it was. It was nothing, you know, about having to challenge himself. It wasn't that long ago before he fought, so he could have had another fight that was competitive. He didn't need a warm-up fight. This was just a poor fight, and a poor just, I don't know, there's nothing really to gain from this fight. Fury looked good, but he always was going to look like that against Chisora. I don't know if it's me physically, he's never been great, Fury, like looking like he's never been body beautiful, but he's never been, I don't know, he looks very like flabby nowadays, more so than he did beforehand. Like in the Wilder 2 fight is my sort of main example of the fights where I feel like he physically looked a lot better. He looked big. I don't know, he hasn't really looked like that in these last few fights. The Wilder fight I gave him leeway, because obviously he had the whole thing with his child, and I think, but in the Dillian Whyte and the Chisora fight now, it's not really been he hasn't looked fantastic shape. And again, he's not ever been fantastic shape, Fury, either way, but I don't know, it just doesn't look as good shape as he used to be. I felt like in the Klitschko fight he looked good physically, and in the Wilder 2 fight, I think, is the best I personally think he's looked. So yeah, I don't really understand the what's, maybe it's the shorts, because Fury does wear shorts very high, and maybe he's going low. I don't know what it is, but either way, it was a real just an observation I found. But going back to the punches landed though, so in the 4th round, 16 out of 41 punches landed. That's when he was taking off, I think, and then 5th it was 22 out of 52. 6th it was 26 out of 49. Then it was 20 out of 48 in 7th, 24 out of 56 in the 8th. And then in the 9th round, it was 24 punches out of 58. And then the 10th round, which is ultimately the round that got stopped in, that was 16 out of 43. So the round he had the most success in was the 3rd round. He landed 51% of his shots. And in the case of Derek Chisora, 12 out of 27 landed in the first. That was his best round. You can maybe give it to him, but I felt like Fury did enough in that round to take it. 7 out of 27 in the second, 3 out of 16 in the third, 10 out of 33 in the fourth, 6 out of 24 in the fifth, 11 out of 32 in the sixth, 13 out of 29 in the seventh, 11 out of 29 in the eighth, 6 out of 29 in the ninth, and then in the round I got stopped, he landed 8 punches out of 30. So the round that he had obviously the least success in naturally was the third, landing 3 punches. That just shows you. And he actually, I think, he threw the least amount of shots as well. He threw 16 in that. The most he landed, or that he threw in the fight was 33. It was actually the round after that. But yeah, a real shocking fight though, and decent performance from Fury. Again, nothing. It's what you expect. I didn't really expect anything more than this. I thought he'd TKO him. I thought he'd get stopped, and it's what it is. And now we see he's obviously primed to fight Alexander Usyk. If not, I mean, they did meet up in the ring afterwards, but I do think if not, I can see Joe Joyce being the next one up. Either way, I think Fury's now I think we'll see him in some bigger fights. I think he's now had the wilder fights. They're sort of done with, the big ones for him, and now he had the little tight defenses. Now I think he's going to go for the undisputed fights. And I think, personally in his next few fights, I think Usyk would be the one for him. If not, it'd be Joyce. And those two should be his next fights regardless of what order it's in. Naturally, I want to see Usyk and Fury. I think it's the fight to make. It's the fight that, the only one that makes sense really. I don't see any other fights out there for Usyk or for Fury. Joe Joyce is a very good fight for him, don't get me wrong, but it's not, I don't know, it doesn't capture the imagination like Undisputed does, especially with these two very masterful boxers. Usyk was in the ring and he didn't look bothered at all by Fury. I don't think this is a guy who Fury's really going to mentally torment or whatever. I mean, mentally he hasn't really had much of a pushback in his last few fights. Dylan White didn't really do much media in their fight, and Chisora was his friend. So like I said, there's nothing much for Fury to prod in. I think it'll be the same in this fight. And a very poor fight though. And for Chisora, I don't know what his corner were doing. He was getting hit time and time again. Don Charles knows him better than anyone, and he should know how this guy ain't going to quit. So he should have saved him from himself. But it was a poor job from Don Charles. Poor from the referee that took him to 10th round to stop the fight. It's just disappointing. And I think this is going to be one of those fights. I just think it's going to be one that's you're going to look back on in a few years, and it's really going to, one of those fights that I think is going to take, these type of fights can take years off your life, never mind your career. Chisora's career is almost over, so I think he's saying he's going to have one more fight. Chisora, you want to go out and win, so I don't blame him for that. But yeah, he should just pick an easy, not easy fight, but just a fight that's very winnable for him and ride off into the sunset. Because nobody, I don't think, is giving Chisora any stick for this. Everybody openly criticised Tyson Fury and his team for this because it was like I said, it was a joke fight from the start. It should never have happened. But here we are, and this is what happens when you, like I said, you have this matchmaking. And luckily, from what we've heard, nothing bad has happened with Chisora. But you see in the fights with Eubank and Watson, we saw McLennan and Nigel Benn, that these injuries can happen in boxing. The concussive shots are the ones that will do the most damage, not the knockout shots. So yeah, but a terrible. Again, there's just nothing good about this fight. I wasn't pleased. But if we get Usyk and Fury next, I think it'll be good. And I think if not a Joe Joyce, either way, I think we should get some big fights for Fury on the horizon. For Chisora, like I said, just give him a pick and fight and just let him win and ride off into the sunset. I think he's done enough in his sport. I don't think he needs to fight anymore. And I'd imagine he would have made enough money to an extent to be relaxed. So yeah, just my thoughts though on this horrendous fight of Fury and Chisora. One-sided beatdown, as everybody knew it would be. But yeah, just my thoughts on the fight. And yeah, until next time.